Giornata.
Giornata.
Day.
Yeah, giornata.
What's really interesting is that Sicilian actually helped shape the first Italian literary language.
That's true. Sicilian poetry was rivaling with Tuscan poetry and the dolce stil novo.
In the 13th century, during the time of Emperor Frederick II of Swabia, Sicily was home to the Sicilian school, a group of poets who were way ahead of their time.
True.
They introduced new literary techniques like the sonnet, which heavily influenced Western literature. Their work gained such widespread acclaim across Italy that even Dante, in his book
De vulgari eloquentia,
wrote, everything produced by Italians in terms of poetry is called Sicilian. Now,
Thank you, Dante. I really appreciate that, Dante. Because of that, you should go to heaven.
Sicilian and Italian indeed share some common grammatical features, such as the distinction between two genders, masculine and feminine, and numbers, singular and plural, as well as definite and indefinite articles, and much more. However, Sicilian has its own unique grammar, vocabulary, and a way of speaking that sets it apart.
When it comes to the unique grammar features of Sicilian, some of them are just conservative from Latin, like the idea of we only do it in emphatic clause, but the idea of putting the verb at the end, for instance, we do that a lot. Even when we speak Italian, sometimes we forget and do it, and we will put a verb at the end. Again, we just usually do it for emphasis. For instance, if I want to say I am Sicilian, I would say sogno siciliano. Sogno siciliano. Siciliano. But if someone is like, oh, how is it that you speak Sicilian? And I want to emphasize, well, I am Sicilian. Then I would say siciliano sogno. Or, even if I'm speaking Italian, Siciliano sono. So, yeah, we do that. We swap it. And I think we are the only ones to do it. I don't know if Sardinians do it. Maybe Sardinians do it too. But I think it's only an insular thing, not a peninsula or continental mainland thing. They don't do it.
It's so distinct that the language coding agency, SIL International, has included Sicilian in a specific code, denoting living languages. This means Sicilians could be considered bilingual in a way.
Thank you.
Don't panic, Italian remains the official language spoken in Sicily.
It is,
just like it is throughout Italy. Now, you won't find Sicilian taught in local schools. Instead, people pick it up through everyday conversations. Yeah,
in the family, and then depending on how much. Sometimes, this is, I mean, I'm going to say it's just how it is. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but sometimes if you speak a lot of Sicilian, it's because you were a little bit uneducated. It's not always the case, though, but it is sometimes the case. So you will find a commonality. There are people that speak Sicilian that are highly educated, but then you also have people that speak a lot of Sicilian, and in fact, their Italian grammar is pretty bad. In that case, you will notice that if you go to areas where there is a general lower level of education, people tend to speak more Sicilian. This is not always cause a link, so I'm not trying to be classist or anything. I myself do speak Sicilian because I enjoy picking it up. With that being said, with the exception of the word piñata, which we said earlier on, I am one of those Sicilian who preferably speaks Italian. So in my house, also because my dad doesn't speak it, he's from the north. My mum is from Sicily, was from Sicily, should I say. We chose to speak Italian first. So we were kind of that middle class, if you will, where the preferred language is Italian, but sometimes we can switch to Sicilian if we want to.
Despite this, Sicilian is still widely spoken on the island, especially in casual settings with
as it should be.
Friends and family. You might hear it more often in remote villages or among older generations.
True.
And sometimes it's mixed in with standard Italian.
Yeah, the mixing is probably the most common thing.
Making it even trickier to understand. Even Italians from the mainland find Sicilian challenging to grasp.
You will find some people in the comments that, I'm from the north and I can understand Sicilian perfectly. And usually it's because what they have heard is a very standardized version that you find on TV. But if they do come to a local rural area, they will not understand a word. You know how I know? Because sometimes I struggle. So there is no way no way. Like, because I'm from the city, I do speak Sicilian, I understand it even when it's very broad, like where they're using really full-on Sicilian expressions. But it has happened to me that when I speak to like elderly people, particularly in rural areas, and they're using an even more archaic version of Sicilian than mine, I struggle to understand them. And I'm like I have to ask them to repeat several times. So yeah. It depends. There is no one single Sicilian, as I say again. So just because you may have watched TV series where there was a Sicilian character and they specifically chose those words that they knew that the public would have understood, that's anecdotal.
So so don't be discouraged if you struggle a little along the way.
Oh, yeah,
Let's
yeah.
take a closer look at some key differences that
Yeah.
make Sicilian stand out. Different pronouns and articles.
Yeah.
Now, starting with the basics, Sicilian personal pronouns are different from their Italian counterparts. Take
Io,
Some people say io. Some people say you, like they're saying you, like it's written there. It's more of an Eastern pronunciation, and it's only found in certain cities, not even all of them.
I,
tu,
Yeah,
tu,
tu is the same.
you,
iddu, lui,
Once again, I would say iddu, so I wouldn't do the j pronunciation of the d, but some people do. So it's not incorrect. It's once again area specific.
idda,
Idda,
lei,
yeah,
she,
vossia,
vossia, which is the shortened version of vostra signoria, your lordship. That's what it means, vossia.
lei,
formal,
nuautri,
Yep.
noi,
Which is kind of similar. It literally means we others. So it's similar to Spanish nosotros. It's probably where it comes from. Same for vuatri. You
voi
others.
altri,
You,
voi,
yeah, you others.
you,
id,
Vosotros.
di,
Yep.
essi,
Idi.
they,
idde, esse,
No one says SES in standard Italian. It's only written and we memorize it as children. Everyone in the spoken language will substitute these in standard Italian for loro. Loro. Loro.
they. The definite articles in Sicilian are
u,
Yep.
for,
il,
the, masculine,
Kind of like Portuguese, really.
as in
u cavallo, il
Sì.
cavallo,
Un cavallo.
the horse,
Correct.
a,
Yes.
for,
la,
It's kind of simplified, isn't it? Just single vowel.
the, feminine, as
Abiciridda.
in
a mogliera, la moglie,
A mogliera. Abiciridda. That's la bambina, like the child, female. Abiciridda. A bottiglia. The bottle.
for,
Yeah.
i,
and
le,
the, masculine and feminine plural.
i femmini,
That's true, actually. I never thought about it that way. But yeah, I femmine. It means the females, but we use it to say women. Yeah, I femmine.
The indefinite articles in Sicilian are for,
Okay, that's a little technical right now, so kind of boring. Let's go forward.
thing you thought you knew about verbs in Italian. Now, Sicilians love using the remote past
Very
tense.
true. Oh my gosh, my mum used to use this constantly. It was always remote past tense. Yes.
To talk about things that have already
Just-
happened,
yeah, I know.
whether it's something light years away from the present or an event that just happened moments ago.
That is so true. Instead, Italian either never uses it or they only use it for really remote, like freaking something that happened in the Bible. Sicilians have used the same verb conjugation for distant past for this morning, 10 minutes ago.
For example,
mi mangiai una persica, ora,
Water. Yeah, mi mangiai una piesca, I would say, but yeah, water.
mi mangiai una pesca, ora, ora.
Yeah, would I say ora in standard Italian? Probably no. I think I would translate it in standard as ho mangiato, first of all. Ho mangiato una pesca poco fa. That's how I would say it in Italian.
I've just eaten a peach.
Yeah.
Iludissi, ve l'ho detto.
Vurissi.
told you.
I would just say vurissi.
The future seems almost non-existent in Sicilian. What matters is the present. Now, as a famous writer wrote, how can you not be pessimistic in a country where the future tense doesn't exist?
Interestingly enough, even though in Italian you do have a future tense, it's something I often tell my wife when she wants to speak, like and say, how do I say I will go? In Italian you do have it, andrò, but a lot of Italians out of laziness just say vado. Domani vado, so tomorrow I go. Domani andrò a Roma is more correct, a little formal in fact, but in casual speech, domani vado a Roma, most Italians do it even in the mainland, and then it's a personal choice. But yeah, so you can avoid the future tense in Italian if you want and live in Italy your entire life. I like the sound of the future tense.
Hence, future actions are articulated using
Yeah.
the present tense, often adding a time adverb to
Yes.
hint when something is going to happen. For example,
Quando finisci di mangiare, niescio.
Yeah,
standard
that's
Italian
right.
you would say,
Quando finisci di mangiare ne esci. Sì, non ne vai.